She moved into the house on Elm Street on a quiet autumn afternoon. The real estate agent called it a hidden gem. The price was low, almost suspiciously so, but all the paperwork was clean. No debts, no legal issues, no recorded incidents. Just an old house that had stood empty for years, waiting. Her name was Laura Mitchell. She was 29, recently divorced, and desperate for a fresh start. A new city, a new home, a chance to rebuild her life from the ground up. The house seemed perfect. 2 floors, an attic, a small backyard, and a long hallway that connected the rooms like veins running through a body. As she unloaded her boxes, the neighbors watched silently. Some offered polite, distant waves. Others simply turned away. No one came over to introduce themselves. The first few days were deceptively calm. Laura unpacked, cleaned, and tried to ignore the strange feeling that seemed to follow her from room to room. It wasn't exactly fear. It was more like a constant awareness, as if the house itself had noticed her presence and was watching her every move. On the 4th night, she heard it, a faint, soft scraping noise coming from directly above the ceiling. She froze in her bed, holding her breath, listening intently as the silence of the night pressed in around her. The sound stopped as suddenly as it began. She told herself it was just the house settling, old wood adjusting to the autumn chill. That's what old houses do, right? The next night, it happened again. This time, the scraping lasted longer. The movements were slow, deliberate, not random, not chaotic. They felt purposeful. The next morning, Laura went to check the attic door at the end of the upstairs hallway. It was locked. She didn't remember locking it, but she just assumed it came that way. She decided not to dwell on it. Over the next week, other strange things began to happen. Objects moved on their own. A dining chair shifted a few inches to the left. A picture frame suddenly fell from the wall, even though there was no damage to the hook or the wall itself. Lights would flicker in rooms she hadn't even entered, and her phone would lose all signal the moment she stepped inside the house. Sleep became a luxury she could no longer afford. Laura started leaving the television on all night just to fill the suffocating silence with noise. One evening, she returned home from work to find the attic door wide open. She stood at the top of the stairs staring at it. The hallway felt colder than the rest of the house. The door creaked slowly on its hinges, as if it were responding to her presence. She tried to convince herself that she must have forgotten to close it. The explanation felt thin, but she accepted it. People often do that when fear feels too unreasonable to confront. That night, the sounds grew louder. It wasn't scraping anymore. It was footsteps. Not heavy, but careful and slow, as if whoever was up there was trying to remain unnoticed. Panicked, Laura grabbed her phone and recorded the sound. But when she played the audio back, there was nothing. No footsteps, no movement, just absolute silence. The following day, she called her friend Daniel and told him everything. He laughed at first, thinking she was just spooked by the old house. But his laughter faded as she described the details, her voice trembling. He suggested they check out the attic together. Laura reluctantly agreed. They met that evening. The moment they opened the attic door, a smell hit them. It was old dust, mixed with something else. A faint, metallic, almost rotten scent. Their flashlight beams sliced through the darkness, revealing stacks of old boxes, broken furniture, and a pile of children's toys that definitely didn't belong to her. Then Daniel noticed something. At the far end of the attic, tucked away behind a heavy wooden shelf, was a door. It was narrow and tall, hidden so well that it almost blended into the wall. There were no visible hinges, no handle, just a thin, dark outline. Working together, they managed to move the heavy shelf aside. The door opened inward with a low groan. Behind it was a passageway. It extended far deeper than the house's foundation should have allowed. The walls were unfinished, just rough concrete and exposed beams. Scratched into the surface were strange symbols, repetitive, chaotic patterns that didn't resemble any language Laura had ever seen. They didn't go far. Something about the passage felt fundamentally wrong. The air was heavy, as if it were physically resisting their presence. They closed the door, pushed the shelf back, and left the attic as quickly as they could. Daniel insisted they call the police. The officers arrived later that night. They searched the entire house, the attic, the passageway. They examined the strange markings on the walls. But their reaction was unsettlingly calm. They took photos, measurements, and notes, treating it like a routine discovery. One officer explained that older houses sometimes had hidden spaces like these, old bootlegging tunnels, storage corridors, or just structural anomalies. Laura asked about the symbols. The officer dismissed them as likely vandalism from years ago. When she asked why the passage wasn't in the building plans, he just said that records from that era were often incomplete. Before leaving, they advised her to stay somewhere else for a few nights, just as a precaution. That night, Laura checked into a nearby motel. At precisely 3:17 a.m., her phone rang. The screen showed no caller ID. She answered. All she heard was breathing on the other end, slow, steady, and somehow familiar. She hung up and turned off her phone, her heart pounding in her chest. The next morning, she returned to the house with Daniel to grab some clothes. The attic door was closed, locked. They opened it anyway and went inside. The passage was gone. Where the hidden door had been, there was now a solid, seamless wall. No outline, no gap, no strange symbols. The shelf stood exactly where it had been before they moved it. Daniel stepped back, completely bewildered. He frantically checked his phone for the photos he'd taken the night before. They were gone. Laura checked her own phone. The audio file of the footsteps, also gone. The police returned later that day at their request. They found nothing unusual. No hidden space, no symbols, no evidence of any modifications to the wall. Officially, the passage had never existed. Laura decided to move out immediately. Packing was a strange experience. The house felt different now. It was quieter, but it wasn't a calm quiet. The silence felt intentional, predatory. On her final night, she slept on the living room couch, fully dressed, with her car keys clutched in her pocket. At 2:41 a.m., she woke to the sound of footsteps in the hallway. She didn't move a muscle. The footsteps stopped right outside the living room doorway. She could feel a pair of eyes on her. A moment later, her phone vibrated on the coffee table. A text message from an unknown number. It read, "You found it." Laura ran. She bolted out the front door and left everything behind. The house was sold a few months later. Then it was sold again and again. Each new owner stayed for a shorter period than the last. Some reported strange noises. Others complained of strange smells. One family claimed to hear voices coming from inside the walls, but no one ever stayed. Today, the house on Elm Street still stands, empty, locked. And if you check the official city records, you'll find a strange and chilling detail. According to the original blueprints and all subsequent documentation, The house has no attic.